I've run everything from 50k to 24 hours and even 300 kilometers in one go. There's a series of things that I'll do before every ultra marathon that make it easier on the race day, on race weekend, and they're not complicated. They're no miracle hacks. They're just things that you could be using your energy on before you get to the start line that will make the race itself easier. The first thing I do when I sign up to any race is study the course in detail. This day and age, there's a whole host of resources on the internet. You've got people who've recce the course before, who filmed themselves during the race. You've got all the profiles. You've got Komoot, where you can upload your GPX and see all the different pictures that people have taken on the course. There used to be blogs were a lot more popular back in the day. They still exist. You find a good blog everywhere. They'll give you an insight into the checkpoints, the tough parts of the race, the bits that people found easier, the time of day, which can vary depending on whose report you're reading. All this information is out there. There's no need for you to be totally surprised on race day. And I don't mean that you take out the mystery from the course. By all means, you're going to go out there and discover things that you weren't expecting and have to overcome those. But why make it a total kind of shot in the dark when you can go through and figure out why certain sections took people twice as long as you would expect? And you can start, and once you've studied the course, this takes us into the next part of my pre-race ritual. One thing I always do before a race is have an estimate of where and when I'll be going through each checkpoint, especially if there's crew available, but even if not, I'm going to make an estimate for the checkpoint and the crew spot. The reason I'm doing this is that before I start planning my nutrition or thinking about any kind of effort levels, pace, how much hydration I have to carry, I need to know as much as possible about the course. So that's why I've studied the course first. I'll do this as soon as I signed up, and then the month before the race. Now I'm onto my checkpoint estimates, and I'm trying to figure out how long each section's going to take me so I can start planning my nutrition. There's a really easy way to do this. If you can get access to last year's splits or splits from a few years beforehand, you can go on look at a scoring system like ITRA, find your rank, and then see people of a similar level, and then kind of drop into a few of these kind of similar level results and see how long each section took them. I'd always look at a few, so you're getting the average, just in case someone started really fast and faded heavily. I'd be looking for someone that was passing people every single checkpoint they went through. So their overall position in the race is decreasing as they go through. It shows they've paced it really well. If you have someone who set off really fast and then faded in the second half, they're not as useful in terms of pacing. You can maybe use some estimates for best case and worst case scenario from someone's race profile like that. But if you're looking for an even balanced or gentle fade time between checkpoints, look for someone who's got a similar finish time to what you'd expected, and then look through for someone who goes past people at every single checkpoint. The third thing I'll always do before I get to a race, of course, is build my nutrition plan. I'm sponsored by Precision Fuel and Hydration, so it's not complicated for me to kind of pick up a bunch of 90s, add in some extra 30-gram gels, and plan my hydration as I go through. But what I need to know is, what's my average target per hour? How long between each checkpoint is it going to take? What's available on those checkpoints? If, for example, like South Down to 100, the race is sponsored by Precision Fuel and Hydration, I haven't got to carry as much. If there's a different company sponsoring the race, or they've just got sweets and local foods on there, and you can find out this information beforehand, you have to make a decision, okay, what am I going to carry? What am I going to try and pick up from the checkpoint? I've said to people in the past that maybe you 100% take your own food because that works for you. Or you go for like a 70-30% approach where you're looking to get 70% of your own food you're going to carry, but to save a bit of weight, say it's a longer section, 6 hours between resupplies, you might then think, okay, I'm going to aim to get 30% of what I need per hour from these checkpoints. Having that information thought out beforehand means you're more likely to get into that checkpoint, make good decisions, and know that, okay, I've got to get 60 grams of carbs from this checkpoint. What have we got here? Well, I look beforehand. Those chews that they put in are 30 grams. These bars are 25. That banana's 15 grams. And, oh, look, they've got some mac and cheese. I'll have that. I heard that they've got mac and cheese at Quebec Mega Trail. If you have that planned out in advance, you'll start to kind of build your nutrition plan by the necessity of what you need for how long you're between each section. This time around, I've planned them all out. This is for the first section, from the start to Massif at the Quebec Mega Trail. I've looked at, I'm hoping it's 4 hours. I've added a little bit of wiggle room in there, but equally, if it's going a lot slower than you plan, you can start using the checkpoint food a bit more as well. That's your backup and support. There's one checkpoint along the way. It's about 2 hours in. sections 4 to 4.5 hours, I'm going to carry 4 90-gram gels at the start. I'm going to carry 2 extra 30-gram gels as a backup just in case. And then I've got my hydration. I'm going to start with 1.5 liters, a mixture of electrolyte drinks and plain water. And I've got 2 of those additional electrolyte sachets like these, so I can resupply at the checkpoint 2 hours in. I've also got notes on there for myself for the first one, because I'll be managing that from the start. What I've then done is start putting that together in little bags for each checkpoint. I'm really happy to have James and Sarah, 2 of the local runners, crewing me for this event, and I want to make it as easy for them to help me out as possible. So everything's planned out again with time estimates based on previous runner splits, taking into account that some sections, like the Mesta Chiba of Quebec Mega Trail, it's a lot slower, so I can't just go off the distance. But it says what I'll need from each section. It says what I want to swap. This is all stuff that instead of waiting till you get there, or instead of waiting till you get to the checkpoint and trying to decide what you need, you can plan it in the weeks beforehand. And it's just a little bit less stress on race day. That means that when it comes to it, you're going to go through that checkpoint quicker, you're going to be less stressed, and you're more likely to make good decisions on the day. And last, when I've done all of this, I will do a dress rehearsal, because there's nothing worse than looking at, okay, I only need this amount of food, I've got this mandatory kit, this is the t-shirt I'm going to wear, this is the shoes I'm going to wear, and then not actually practicing with it beforehand and finding out that when it's fully loaded, it's just not a viable way of carrying everything. I'm sponsored by Chance Running. Their shorts, they're ultra shorts that I can, the pockets around the waist, I've got loads and loads of storage. So I know that the longest section of this race is maybe 6-7 hours worth of moving. So between crew points, there's checkpoints in there between where I'll refuel my fluids. But I know that, okay, I need to pack that amount of food for this hour, this amount of time. Let's go practice running on that with the kit I'm going to wear on race day, the pack I'm going to use on race day. Is it manageable for that 6-hour section? You don't have to run 6 hours to test that it all works. You can do, if you've got a longer training run, that's when you want to do your dress rehearsal. I normally find in the 3 or 4 weeks beforehand, when I've started to get everything dialed down, that's when I go out with full kit, fully loaded, and it might actually be that I take 6 hours of food out for a 2-hour run, just because I want to check that it doesn't bounce too much, doesn't fall out of pockets, it doesn't make me feel overloaded or press on my bladder. So everything there is checked beforehand. I'm using a 1 year, but situation oddly in yeah. And the last thing I'll do beforehand, and if you've got crew, if you're fortunate enough to have people to crew you, I'll always meet with them beforehand. Ideally, before you actually get to the race location itself. That can be in the local pub, around one of their houses, or around your house, or it might be virtually. James and Sarah are based out in Canada, so popping over to Canada for a crew meeting is probably a little bit impractical. So what I did was we had a Zoom. But we all started talking through everything. We got to know each other. Save doing that on the Friday before the race or the Thursday before the race when we meet for the first time. It's a little bit less crew in that busy time before a race. It's a bit more time to relax. I'm going to send over the information I've got to them with what I want for each checkpoint. So they'll start kind of thinking about it. And these are people who really experienced crew. They know what is for people in those environments, but they haven't met before. They haven't seen me race before. So it's as easy I can make it for them to crew me, the better. Equally, they might start learning a little bit about me, and there'll be things that will crop up that they'll be better placed to answer because we've had a couple calls beforehand, and they've been fantastic with this side of things. Little bit of bonus, a tip at the end there is that if you can build your logistics, I'm not talking about how to get to the area of the race, but think about race day. If it's a 8 p.m. start like in Quebec, or a 5 p.m. start somewhere else, or a 4 a.m. start elsewhere, if you've planned that little bit about how you're going to get to the start line, it's one less thing to worry about come race day. Performance, mental strategy. This has been useful. I hope this has been useful. I'm going to try and tackle a few subjects that will help people understand how best to prepare for ultra marathons, how to get the best out of themselves on the day. It's not going to be rocket science. They're not going to be like super hacks, but simple stuff that's going to help you turn up on the start line, feel confident, and enjoy yourself until it gets a little bit tougher. And then you'll be better equipped to find a way through.